Collaboratively, master sculptor Eugene Daub and primary research and sculptor Rob Furman have created this sculpture which Hodgenville and indeed all of Kentucky can be proud of. Please join me now in recognizing Rob Furman and Eugene Daub, sculptors of the Boy Lincoln. Y'all please rise. And I now welcome Rob Furman, who's going to have a few comments. Thank you.
I'm Rob Furman. This is Eugene Daub, our master sculptor, and our third sculptor is Jonah Hendrickson. The LaRue County Herald News recently ran an internet website poll about whether it was a good idea to have a Lincoln sculpture, yet another one. And the good news is that overwhelmingly the majority voted that it was a good idea. About 1 out of 5 said that they really didn't need it, and I have a few comments addressed to both groups. Why do we, Eugene and I and Jonah, feel that it's important? Well, the two accomplishments that we recognize of Lincoln as a man, one was that he articulated why we had to fight our most terrible yet most redeeming war more eloquently and more precisely than anyone else in the 7,000 biographies that have been written about Lincoln. And second, he firmly replanted the United States into the soil of its original ideals. But why commemorate him in his boyhood here in Hodgenville? Well, Hardin County, now LaRue County, was the place that established, we think, his moral foundation. And it was also the place that opened his mind to the infinite world of reading. He went on to take that infinite world and turn it into an amazing ability to write and to quote, "It is only recently," this is a quote about Lincoln, "it is only recently that note has been taken of his genius as a writer. It has been easy to show, once the truth was glimpsed, that from early manhood he handled words in a manner unsurpassed for comprehension, lucidity, rhythm, and force." And that was written by Jacques Barzun, a naturalized American citizen and one of America's greatest living intellectuals. A little explored influence on Lincoln is Webster's Elementary Spelling Book, which was the second spelling book that he used in the Blab School, and was one of the 2 books that he had in his house, in his cabin. The other was the Bible. And we think that that had a significant influence on forming his philosophy of daily life. And to quote Lincoln, later in his life, he said, "I must stand with anybody that stands right, and stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong." To quote the Webster's Elementary Spelling Book, "Hasty and inconsiderate connections are generally attended with great disadvantages, and much of every man's good or ill fortune depends upon the choice he makes of his friends." To quote Lincoln, "You can have anything you want if you want it badly enough. You can be anything you want to be, do anything you set out to accomplish, if you hold to that desire with singleness of purpose." And to quote Lincoln again, "It may seem strange that any man or any men should dare to ask a just God's assistance in wringing their bread from the sweat of other men's brows." To quote Webster, "We may as well expect God will make us rich without industry as that he will make us good and happy without our own endeavors." Now, I hear the same voice speaking in these lines. I hear it from our greatest president, I hear it from a 7-year-old boy, and I hear it from Webster's Spelling Book. So that's why we included, as you'll see when you get a chance to look at the sculpture up close, Webster's Elementary Spelling Book in his hands. That's the book he's reading. A second area that this county and his farm upbringing helped to cultivate was his strong compassion. When he was around 5 years old or so, with his friend Austin Gallagher, he found a dog lying at the foot of a small rock escarpment, bleeding from the mouth, practically dead. And he picked it up, he took it home. First, he stopped by Hodgenville right here, and he splinted its leg, which was badly broken. He named it Honey, and another great moral influence on Lincoln, his father, then stopped the man who had kicked the dog and had come to the cabin to reclaim it. The man never came back. That's why we included Lincoln's dog, Honey, in the sculpture. So when you get a chance, take a look. His right leg is splinted, you'll see that. And I'd like to take the chance to thank Governor Beshear for signing the Romeo's Law recently, which protects animals from abuse by their owners. Of course, the rural setting itself, as many have written and said, had a profound influence on his independence of spirit, his strength. He wasn't shuttled around in cars to soccer lessons and to music lessons and to swimming lessons and music lessons and so forth. He was on his own much of the time. And we try to reflect that in the sculpture, as you see when you get a chance. So look at his linen satchel filled with corn for the family dinner that night, his fishing pole, look at his bare feet, look at his simple clothes. Nothing was simple about Lincoln. It's an honor to represent him. Thank you very much, Hodgenville. Thank you very much, the Commonwealth of Kentucky.